Video games have been around for quite a while now, and I'm gonna be honest, some of my fondest memories revolve around the pixels that move on the screen. So that got me thinking, wouldn't it be nice to share one's memories of gaming, whether they be big or small, simple or grand, silly or serious? So, I asked my friends if they'd like to come together and share our gaming memories. So, let's get sharing then. One of my fondest memories comes from a little game called Medal of Honor Frontline. This game holds a special place for me, from its unforgettable first mission to fostering my love of old school windmills, only to traumatise me by burning one down. I got a lot from this game, but the main thing I took away was my perspective on morality. As a child, my view was very black and white, good and evil, He-Man and Skeletor. As a child, you're taught what's wrong and right, so when I played games where I beat or killed enemies, I always assumed them to be evil, just pure evil, unredeemable bastards. But there's this moment in a pub in Frontline where you see your enemy just chilling in a pub and having a good time. From playing card games, drinking, singing, passing out drunk, one of my personal favourite things to do in a pub, and getting into arguments and fistfights. It humanised the enemy in-game, and all of a sudden I began to ask, are these guys truly evil? Are things black and white? This whole scene changed the outlook of a young Pat. The people I was killing were people, not evil soldiers twirling their mustaches as they laughed maniacally. Did this stop me killing in the game? No. I killed everyone I could. But my mind did shift that day to looking at things with a bit more nuance. Well, as much nuance as a 6-year-old could. It's a moment from games that will stick with me forever and taught me a valuable lesson. And that's one of my favourite memories from gaming.
Hello everybody, hope you're all doing well. My name is the Platinum Jack, and first off I want to give a massive thank you to Friends and Games for having me in on one of the videos. Now, I could sit here and probably talk for hours about Yakuza 0 and by extension the entire Yakuza series, except for the spin-offs. But sadly I cannot because, well, we don't want to be sitting here listening to me talking about Yakuza for the next couple of hours. Not yet anyway. I'm sure myself and Friends and Games might get together at some stage in the future after he's played through the series, and we might have a couple of chats about it, you know. As for why I'm talking Yakuza 0 today, it and the rest of the Yakuza series really helped me reignite my love for gaming after many years of gaming burnout. And while I will admit I was infuriated a lot of the time with the whole completion process on each of them, I would happily do it again. But again, that's a different topic for a different video for a different day. You know, it's funny, when Friends and Games first contacted me about a game for this segment in a video, I honestly couldn't think of a game straight out the gate. It took me a while to actually come and decide on one because there was so many games I could talk about. There was Final Fantasy X, there was Sleeping Dogs, there was Ghost of Tsushima, there was Crash Bandicoot. So many games that I'd either grown up with or had come across in more recent years and absolutely adored. But there was just something special about Yakuza 0, and obviously, as I've said already, it did help me with my burnout phase immensely, but the characters and everything about the game were just so well done. I just find myself always thinking back on the story, the characters, even just the returning characters in later games of the series. Majima is a personal favourite character of mine. He's just straight up crazy bastard, and it's glorious. I could also go on about the absolute absurdity of some of the side quests, like in Yakuza 0, where you literally train a dominatrix, and the side quest is called How to Train Your Dominatrix. But I'm not going to go into too much detail because I could sit here for the next God knows how long gushing about all the characters like Kiryu, Nishiki, Majima. It's just an absolute glorious game, and I think everyone should give it at least one try. Even if you're not a big fan of Japanese speaking or watching things in subtitled, just do yourself a favour and play it. It is a phenomenal game, and it is one that's flown over, or not even over, under too many people's radars, just like Sleeping Dogs. God, I love Sleeping Dogs, but again, that's a different topic for a different day. I have given you any interest at all in even just looking at the Yakuza games, please do give them a try. They will blow your mind with their levels of absurdity, and it's just they're just so well written. And if you're more of an RPG kind of player, I would highly recommend the newest one in the series, Like a Dragon. It does have a turn-based system, and honestly, some of the enemy names are absolutely fantastic. For now though, I hope I've piqued at least one person's interest in the Yakuza series, and honestly there's something there for everyone throughout all of them. Again, not going to go into too much detail, but I will say thank you very much once again for Friends and Games for having me on. I have been the Platinum Jack. I hope you have a good day, and I shall maybe catch you in another video. Bye bye.
Hello, Chicken Fillets here, and thank you to Pat from Frames for having me on to discuss a gaming memory of mine. Now, if you know myself, you will know that I am a JRPG content creator, and that my favourite game of all time, it's Final Fantasy VII. So yes, strap yourself in because I'm going to talk to you about Final Fantasy VII yet again. Now, why is this the gaming memory that I'm going to bring up to you? Well, there's one specific memory about this game which always stands out to me and probably will never be replicated again. Now, this is in the early hours of the game. Now, bear in mind, when I first played Final Fantasy VII, this was back in 1997, so I would have been about 8 or 9 years old. I've probably got my maths wrong. Now, in the first couple of hours, you are in the section of Midgar. Now, I must stress that in the Midgar section in Final Fantasy VII is my favourite part in the game. But there's one specific moment during this section is where you leave Midgar for the first time. And it's the first time I've ever experienced a world map. Now, let's put this into perspective. This was my first JRPG I ever played. Before that, I'd only really played the likes of Sonic the Hedgehog, Crash Bandicoot, etc. So going to a game where it is a massive overworld, you come out and you're this tiny little figure on a world map which is massive. Your brain, my little brain back then, exploded. The sense of exploration which I had in Midgar felt amazing. But to leave Midgar and find a whole new world at my feet, and the possibilities that this world had to me, and finding out more about the places, from going from Midgar to Kam, from Kam to the Chocobo Farm, to Junon, and to every other area that I visited in Final Fantasy VII, all started when I left Midgar, when I took those first steps onto a world map. When that music hit, the main theme from Final Fantasy VII, that theme song has stuck with me and will always be the best and definitive theme song for any overworld map in a JRPG. This gaming memory will always stick out to me and has always made a massive impact to me in my gaming life. It's this sense of exploration, this sense of wonder which has always stuck with me and has made me really appreciate JRPGs and the world of Final Fantasy VII, and because of this moment, this game will always be my favourite game of all time. But what I want to know, and what Pat wants to know as well, is, well, what's your favourite gaming memory? Let us know in the comments down below. And if you like what you're seeing on this channel, well, make sure to subscribe to Frames as well. This has been Chicken Fillets, and until next time, tatty bye.
Hey guys, UpperNimbus here. So I want to thank Pat from Frames for inviting me on this collaboration of our best and most favorite gaming memories in video games. Therefore, I had to choose something very nostalgic and important to me, which is The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask for the Nintendo 64. I remember getting this game for the very first time. It was pretty funny actually. Back then, when nobody really knew the future prices of these retro video games, we had actually traded our family copy of Perfect Dark for Majora's Mask. Oh man, it was one of the longest days ever waiting for that game. Now what makes this game so special is that it was my very first Legend of Zelda game that I owned. Yes, I also grew up with Ocarina of Time, but that was my brother's copy. Now I will admit there are plenty of moments within this game that I do recall and have really awesome nostalgic memories associated with different parts that happened throughout my playthrough, but there's just just a couple of key moments that I do want to bring up, which really harkens back to my childhood. I remember one sunny day when me and my cousins were going to go to the pools on a summer's day, and in the morning I had booted up Majora's Mask. I was actually up at the Great Bay region, and I was tackling the Spider House side quest along the coastline, and I just remember playing that in the morning, trying to get all the gold skulltulas before heading out to the pools for the day. It's so nostalgic just thinking about it, and I love the hunting aspect of the gold skulltulas. Collectathons in video games has always been something that I've been drawn to. I guess that's why I like things like Banjo-Kazooie and Super Mario 64. And another really epic memory was when I first arrived at Stone Tower in the Akana Canyon region. I don't know if this is just something that Australian schools end up doing, or if it's something that schools across the world do as well, but we had a fundraising campaign when I was in primary school where we had to walk around the neighborhood and sell chocolates to people. And I remember taking home this big box of home brand chocolates. You know, there was all kinds of things. There was milk chocolate, dark chocolate. Of course, I had to boot up my playthrough of Majora's Mask. And like I mentioned, I got to the doors of Stone Tower, and climbing that rocky formation of a school afternoon with the sun setting in the background while indulging in the chocolates I'd brought from school back home. There's just something about that specific moment in time. Hearing the Stone Tower theme was just so ominous and bone-chilling and melodic, and it made me wonder what was at the top of that tower. And so they were some of my memories associated with playing Majora's Mask as a child. To me, a very nostalgic experience I will never forget. Thank you once again to Pat from Frames for including me in this collaboration. I do look forward to seeing what the other people in this video have decided for their gaming memories, and until the next time everybody, UpperNimbus is signing off.
There's a 5-year gap between me and my older sister. I was about 11 or 12 years old at the time. The usual hangout was the mall, you know. This is before doom scrolling and all that stuff. Back when you had to sit down at a desktop and actually use social media sites and shit. Every Friday, my sister and her friends would go to the mall, and my mom would just lump me in with them just to follow them around, I guess, to keep an eye on them. My mom would give me $20 to do whatever I wanted, buy some food and snacks and whatnot. But little did she know, my sister would also give me $20 to shut up and not bother her while she did her teenage stuff without her nerdy little brother walking around with the cut up bootcut jeans and the beat up Reebok. I was cool with both because I would use the $40 to buy some Sbarros, a cheap ass game, and the rest would be spent on the arcade within the mall. This arcade was really chill. Of course, they had a DDR and a fighting game cabinets littered throughout with the retro and light gun games, but they also had 3 couches and 3 big ass TVs. One with a PlayStation 3, one with an Xbox 360, and one with a Wii. You can pay $5 to the clerk and you can get an hour to play whatever you want on that console. You can bring your own controllers and your own games, and they even give you headphones if you wanted to focus on your game without the distraction. This is where my whole taste in games was made at this time. I would come here every Friday with my sister and dip off, buy me some random bargain bin game regardless of the console just to play it until 8:30 and then run back to GameStop and return it if I didn't like it or own the console. I became a regular every Friday, and that was also when my local fighting game community would meet up here and play Street Fighter 4 or Tekken 6, whatever was out at the time. So I became sort of a water boy for these FGC guys. The rhythm game guys back in there playing Rock Band and DDR, they would just give me money to go buy them food or snacks, and in return I get to keep the change, or I would get a turn on whatever game they were playing. Essentially being the punching bag in Street Fighter in between sets for all these adults and shit. I loved it though. It was like heaven to me. Yeah, there was probably just being lazy and using me, but they also talked with me while I played my own games on the Wii couch. They put up with me just because they thought I was cool. They thought I was one of them, and I respected them for that. I just soaked up everything they talked about in this innocent glee while watching the tournaments and high score challenges and Rock Band. There was one specific night I remember in 7th grade at the time. I was supposed to be on a date there, I guess? We walked around the mall, of course, as you do, being shy, just talking, until we got to the arcade and my date wanted to go in and play some games. Now, me being nervous and shit, I didn't want her to know that I was a regular here. So we're walking around while I'm like lowering my head, trying not to get caught by the FGC folks playing on the couches. And I'll never forget this moment. We're sitting there in the back of the arcades by the air hockey table, and she told me her mom was here, so she had to go. She gave me a little peck and ran off. And I'm dazed. This is my first kiss. And I immediately, like, the whole couch of like 10 or so high schoolers are all cheering, oohing and on because they were watching. And I do that little walk where you get caught by the boys and you like got your head down walking over like, oh yeah. And they're just asking me all these questions, you know, just trying to catch up, talk with me. And it made me feel like I wasn't just a water boy. I was part of their community. I was with them. They were the homies, and I was just a part of it. And the funniest part about this whole story is Tatsunoko vs. Capcom was the game that they were playing this week instead of Street Fighter. And little did they know, I was playing that game to death at home. And this is the first time I was like, you know what? I got nothing else to do now. Let me join the bracket. And mind you, these guys are beasts. I still play some of these guys to this day. And these guys are good at no matter what we play. And I don't know if it's just because of the events that transpired beforehand or if I was just on a hot streak, but I decimated this tournament. I got in 3rd place. All of them were like cheering me on and stuff afterwards, even after I lost. Like the Gantz picture with like, you alright, white boy, but in reverse. It was one of those highlights of my gaming lifestyle. And it's one of those memories just in general in life that I'll just hold near and dear to me.
I hope you guys enjoyed listening to people share fond memories of games. I think this is a lovely way for us to spread our adoration of gaming, of these moments that define this hobby for us. A very special thank you to everyone involved in the making of this video. It wouldn't have been possible without them. Also, if you liked anyone here in this video, then go follow them. Links in the description below. They are great crack and well worth looking into. And if you got any memories to share, let us know. Whether it be in the comment sections or if you'd like to share in the next video. And until next time, take it easy, friends.